Okay, so you're interested in AI in banking? Well, get this. We're diving deep into a McKinsey report from December 2024.
Hot off the presses, right?
Yeah, and they're saying banks are on the verge of a major AI breakthrough, like
Mm.
really using it.
That's right. We're not just talking about automating a few tasks here and there. This report suggests banks are moving past just experimenting.
Oh, so they're actually putting AI to work.
Yeah, they're moving into what McKinsey calls rewiring the enterprise with AI.
Rewiring the enterprise. Whoa, that sounds pretty intense.
It is. It means that instead of just isolated AI projects, banks are starting to use it to fundamentally change how they operate.
So no more putting a chatbot on the website and calling it a day.
Exactly. It's about using AI to completely rethink entire business processes from the ground up.
Okay, so what's behind this sudden shift? Why are banks so gung-ho about AI all of a sudden?
Well, the report paints a pretty stark picture of the challenges facing banks. Falling productivity,
Yeah, I've heard about the...
slowing revenue growth,
Right.
and fierce competition. You've got fintechs, you've got other non-bank players coming in.
The perfect storm, huh?
It really is. And AI is being seen as like the key to surviving this.
So AI to the rescue.
The report argues that, yes, AI can boost productivity, can reduce costs, increase revenue, and help manage risk.
So it's not just about saving money, it's about using AI to actually get ahead, right? To actually grow.
Precisely.
Okay.
And McKinsey found that the banks that are really excelling with AI, they're doing a few things differently.
Like what? Fill us in.
First, they have this big, bold vision for what AI can do. They're not just thinking about automating stuff they're already doing.
So thinking bigger.
Much bigger.
Yeah.
Using AI to create totally new products, new services, reimagine the customer experience, really.
Not just doing things better, doing things differently.
Exactly. And second, they're not just doing little one-off projects here and there. They're looking at entire parts of the business and saying, okay, how can AI completely transform this?
Give me an example. Make this real for me.
Okay, so customer onboarding. Traditionally, it's a very manual process. Lots of paperwork, takes forever. Some banks are using AI to completely automate that whole thing.
So instead of filling out forms and waiting weeks to open an account, you can do it all online in minutes.
Yeah, that's the idea. And the report highlights a bunch of other areas ripe for this kind of transformation too. Risk management, compliance, even things like developer productivity.
So it sounds like the banks that are winning with AI, they have this big vision and they're going all in on transforming whole chunks of their business. What else sets them apart?
Well, the report points to something they call multi-agent systems.
Oh, yeah, we touched on this earlier. What exactly are multi-agent systems and why are they so important?
So think of it like a team of specialized AI agents all working together to solve complex problems.
Okay, like a team of human experts, each with their own specialty.
Exactly.
I can see how that could be powerful. How does that actually work in like a banking situation?
Okay, take loan processing. A multi-agent system might have one AI agent analyzing financial statements, another assessing credit risk, another communicating with the customer.
So instead of one human underwriter doing the whole thing, you break it down and have specialized AI for each piece.
Precisely. And because these AI agents can work 24/7, no breaks, they can process loans way faster than humans.
So it's not just about cutting costs, it's also about speed, being more responsive.
Absolutely. Plus, since each agent is an expert in their area, the quality of the decision-making can actually improve.
So better decisions, faster decisions. That's impressive.
It is. And the report gives some great examples of how this is already happening.
Give us one, I'm curious.
Sure. So there's a case study of a big bank using a multi-agent system for small business loans. They saw analyst productivity jump by 20 to 60%, and the time it took to make a decision on a loan down by 30%.
Wow, those are huge improvements.
They are. But it's not just back office stuff. McKinsey found that these multi-agent systems can actually make things better for customers too.
Really? How so?
Because they can handle more complex tasks, they can give customers a much more seamless and personalized experience.
Like what?
Imagine applying for a loan, and instead of filling out a huge, complicated form, a multi-agent system guides you through each step, answers your questions, gives you personalized advice along the way.
Oh, that would be way less painful.
And it frees up human employees to focus on things AI can't do, building relationships, giving more complex financial advice.
Multi-agent systems sound like a real game changer.
They have the potential to be. But building and using them, that requires a serious investment in tech, data, and people.
Right, because AI doesn't just magically happen. So let's talk about that. What do banks actually need to build to make all this AI stuff work?
Well, The report lays out what they call an AI capability stack, basically the different layers banks need to invest in.
Okay, break it down for me. What are the key
The
layers?
first is the engagement layer. That's all about using AI to create intelligent, personalized experiences for customers across every channel.
So conversational AI, personalized recommendations, a smooth experience, whether you're on their website or in their app.
Exactly. Then there's the decision-making layer. This is like the brain of the bank. It uses a mix of these multi-agent systems, predictive models, and of course, human expertise to make decisions.
So AI helping humans make better decisions across the entire bank.
That's the idea. And then there's the foundation for all of this, the core technology and data layer. This includes really solid data management, modern APIs, and the infrastructure you need to run really powerful AI. Things like LLMs,
LLMs, what are those?
large language models. They're trained on massive amounts of data. They can generate text, translate languages, write different kinds of content, answer your questions in an informative way.
So like super powered language processors.
Yeah, exactly. And they're becoming really important in banking. They can be used for document analysis, customer service, even marketing.
So this core technology layer is the base for everything else.
Exactly. And finally, there's the operating model. This is about how the bank itself needs to change. Breaking down silos, having agile teams, putting good AI governance in place.
So it's not enough to just have the technology. You need the right people, the right structure, the right culture to make it all work.
You got it. The report really emphasizes that banks need to invest in all of these layers to really get the benefits of AI. You can't just pick and choose.
It's like building a house. You need a good foundation, strong walls, a solid roof.
Exactly. And just like building a house, this takes time. It takes planning.
So how do banks actually go from, doing a few pilot projects to making AI work across the entire company? What's the roadmap?
McKinsey outlines a pretty detailed roadmap. First, you need to figure out what part of the business you want to focus on, what will have the biggest impact, but is also realistic to do.
Right, you can't boil the ocean. You got to start somewhere.
Then you start building those multi-agent systems, integrating them into how you already work.
So start small and then gradually expand your AI capabilities.
Right. And the report talks about building reusable assets. So once you've got a good AI solution in one area, you can use those same components in other areas.
Like building a library of AI tools you can use again and again. Smart.
It saves time and money, and it helps you move faster. And they give an example of a large bank that's been doing this for several years. They built this library of reusable assets, they've got a data-driven way of working, and they're seeing big results, like a 10% increase in revenue.
That's amazing. So what can other banks learn from them? What's the key advice from the report?
Two big things. First, building teams, not just models. You need people who understand both banking and AI. And you need to think about risks from day one.
So it's not just about hiring a bunch of tech geniuses and hoping for the best.
Nope. You need people who understand the business too. And the second key takeaway is the central AI control tower. Basically, a dedicated team to manage all the AI stuff across the bank, make sure everyone's working towards the same goals.
So like a central hub to coordinate everything.
Yeah.
Got it.
Right. And the report really drives home the point that this is a whole company journey, not just a tech project. It needs support from leadership, a clear plan, and a willingness to change at every level.
So it's not a quick fix. It's a fundamental shift in how banks operate.
Absolutely.
This all sounds incredibly exciting, but I'm curious what it means for, the average bank employee. How will their jobs change with all this AI?
That's a great question, and one a lot of people are asking. The reality is AI will change work in banking.
It seems like some tasks will definitely be automated. Does that mean people will lose their jobs?
Not necessarily. The report suggests this shift will actually create new, more interesting jobs. As AI takes over the repetitive stuff, humans can focus on things that require creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, the stuff AI isn't good at yet.
So AI does the routine, humans do the strategic thinking.
Exactly. And this could lead to new jobs like AI trainers, AI ethicists, AI strategy consultants, jobs that didn't exist a few years ago.
So it's not just about losing jobs, it's about creating new ones.
That's right. And here's the thing. The skills that will be most valuable in the future might not even be technical skills. It's the human skills that'll really matter. Things like communication, problem solving, being able to adapt to change.
So just being good with tech isn't enough.
Nope. You need to be able to work well with others, think critically, and be flexible. And that's something banks need to be thinking about now. How do they help their employees learn new skills? How do they create a culture that embraces change?
It's not just about the tech, it's about how we adapt to it, how we use it to create a better future for everyone.
Couldn't agree more. And this McKinsey report really gives banks a roadmap for navigating all of this.
It's a lot to process, but I think the key takeaway is this. AI has the potential to transform banking, and not by replacing people, but by empowering them to do more, to be more, to create more value for themselves, their customers, the whole industry, really.
Absolutely. It's a very exciting time to be in banking, and we're only just getting started.
Okay, so we've talked about the big picture. Let's get into some specifics. How is AI actually being used in banks right now? The report highlights some interesting examples. Where should we start?
Let's talk about customer service. It's an area where AI can really make a difference.
Yeah, makes sense. More efficient, more personalized.
Exactly. We're already seeing banks using AI chatbots to answer questions, solve problems, even give basic financial advice.
Yeah, I've used a few of those myself. Some of them are getting pretty good, actually.
They are getting better all the time. The more data they have, the more they learn. But it's not just chatbots. AI is also being used to personalize websites and apps, give customers tailored recommendations and offers.
So instead of generic marketing, people get information that's actually relevant to them.
Exactly. And that leads to happier, more engaged customers. But AI is also being used behind the scenes to make customer service operations better.
How so?
Well, banks are using AI to analyze customer calls, looking for patterns, trends. This can help them identify areas where they can improve or even develop new products and services that people actually want.
So it's not just reacting to problems, it's about getting ahead of them.
Exactly. And this data-driven approach is changing how banks think about customer service.
So AI is clearly making a big impact on customer service. What about other areas of the bank? Where else is this happening?
Risk management is another big one. Banks are using AI to detect fraud, assess credit risk, and make sure they're following all the rules.
Those are some pretty critical functions. How is AI helping with those?
Well, with fraud detection, AI can analyze huge amounts of data in real time, looking for anything suspicious, things a human would never catch. And it can constantly learn and adapt as new fraud schemes pop up.
So it's like having a superpowered detective on the case 24/7.
Exactly. And for credit risk, AI can analyze borrower data and predict how likely they are to default on a loan. This helps banks make smarter decisions and lower their risk.
Safer loans, smarter loans.
Right. And then there's regulatory compliance. AI can help automate things like know your customer checks and anti-money laundering monitoring, which saves banks money and makes sure they're following all the complex rules.
So AI isn't just about profits, it's about making banks safer and more responsible too.
Absolutely. And this is really just the beginning. There are tons of other ways AI is being used in banking, and as the technology gets better, we'll see even more innovative applications.
It's definitely an exciting time to be watching this space. So we've talked about the good stuff, but what about the risks? Are there downsides to all this automation?
That's a crucial question, and it's one we need to think carefully about. Like any new tech, AI comes with potential risks.
What are some of the biggest concerns?
Well, one is job displacement. As AI gets smarter, some jobs will inevitably be automated. But it's important to remember that AI can create new jobs too. It's not just about taking jobs away, it's about changing what those jobs look like.
Like we said earlier, AI might take over the boring stuff so humans can focus on more interesting work.
Exactly. And banks need to start thinking now about how to train their employees for these new roles. But job losses aren't the only concern. There's also the issue of bias.
Oh, right. Can you explain that a bit more?
If the data used to train AI is biased, the AI itself can be biased. So we have to be super careful about the data we use. It needs to be diverse. It needs to represent everyone.
It's not just the tech, it's how we use it.
Exactly. And there's also the potential for AI to be used for bad things. Hackers could use AI to launch more sophisticated attacks or spread misinformation.
So cybersecurity becomes even more important as AI gets more powerful.
Absolutely. And then there's the risk of relying too much on AI. It's a tool, not a magic wand. We can't blindly trust everything it tells us.
So it's about finding the right balance between human judgment and AI insights.
Exactly. Humans need to stay in the loop, especially when it comes to big decisions.
It's about using AI to make humans better, not to replace them.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And that's really the key to making AI work for everyone in banking. It's not humans versus machines. It's humans and machines working together to build a better future.
Well said. So we've covered a lot of ground, but there's still so much more to explore. What are some of the trends you're watching as we look ahead?
One that I'm really excited about is explainable AI. It's all about making AI systems easier for humans to understand.
Why is that important?
Because if we're going to trust AI with important decisions, we need to know how it's making those decisions.
So, explainable AI is about building trust and making sure AI is used responsibly.
Exactly. Another trend I'm watching is quantum computing. It's a whole new type of computing that could revolutionize AI.
Oh, wow. In what way?
Quantum computers can solve problems that are impossible for regular computers. That means they can be used to create even more powerful AI.
So, quantum computing could supercharge AI in banking.
Exactly. And it could lead to totally new AI applications that we can't even imagine yet.
Mind blowing stuff. So, the future of AI in banking is looking pretty exciting.
It really is. And I think we're just scratching the surface of what's possible.
Well, I, for one, am excited to see what happens next. And I bet our listeners are too. So, that's it for part one of our deep dive into AI in banking. Be sure to join us next time as we continue exploring this fascinating and rapidly changing world.
See you then. You know, it's easy to talk about AI and big visions, but actually making it work in a big, complicated bank.
Yeah, that's a whole other challenge, right?
That's where a lot of companies get stuck. They get excited about AI, they do a few little projects, but then
Nothing really changes.
exactly. And this McKinsey report actually gets into that. They have a whole section on scaling AI for lasting impact.
So they know it's not enough to just have the tech. You need a way to make it stick, to actually change how things work.
Absolutely. And they lay out a pretty detailed plan, 6 steps for banks to go from experimenting to really becoming AI powered.
Okay, I'm listening. What are the key steps?
Well, the first one, maybe not surprisingly, is figuring out your AI strategy. Like, what are you trying to achieve with this?
Makes sense. You can't just throw technology at a problem and hope for the best.
Right. How does AI fit into your overall goals? What does success even look like? You have to be clear about that.
Yeah, especially for banks, they're used to doing things a certain way. AI kind of forces them to rethink everything.
Totally. So once you have that strategy, step 2 is figuring out where AI can actually be used. What problems can it solve?
Where can it have the biggest impact, right?
Exactly. And this is where you need people who really know banking and AI to spot those opportunities.
Yeah, you need people who can bridge that gap.
Step 3 is about actually building the AI capabilities, getting the tech, making sure your data is good, and finding the right people.
So data scientists, engineers, but also people who can explain all this to the business folks.
Right. You need translators. And then steps 4 and 5 are about developing and actually using your AI solutions. And then this is important, tracking how they're performing. It's not a one and done thing.
So you build it, you test it, you see what works, you make it better, and you're constantly measuring the results.
Constantly. How's it affecting efficiency, risk, customer satisfaction, all of that?
So it's a continuous process, not just set it and forget it.
Exactly. And that leads to the final step, step 6. Continuous improvement. Always learning, updating your models, finding new ways to use AI. It becomes part of how you do things, not just a one-time project.
Okay, this roadmap makes sense, but let's be real. Actually doing all this in a huge bank, that's got to be super complicated. What are some of the biggest challenges?
Well, the report's pretty honest about that. One big one is data. AI is only as good as the data you feed it.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. And a lot of banks have data that's all over the place, inconsistent, sometimes even wrong. They need to fix that first.
Yeah, data cleanup, not very glamorous, but crucial. And even if you have good data, isn't there a shortage of people who actually know how to use it, build these AI systems?
That's another huge challenge. Everyone wants AI talent. Banks need to not only pay well, but also make it an exciting place to work, give people interesting projects, chances to grow.
It's almost like banks need to become tech companies to some degree.
There's some truth to that. But maybe the biggest challenge of all, changing the culture. A lot of banks are very traditional.
Slow-moving, risk-averse, not exactly known for being agile and innovative.
Exactly. AI requires a different way of thinking. You have to be more experimental, more data-driven, more comfortable with taking risks.
So it's not just about the tech, it's about changing how the whole bank operates, how they make decisions, how people work together.
You got it. And that takes time. It needs support from leaders, clear communication, and a lot of patience. Changing a culture, especially in a big bank, that's tough.
It sounds daunting, but if you get it right, there must be big rewards, right?
Oh, the potential is huge. This report talks about banks increasing revenue by like 10% or more.
Wow, that's significant.
Big cost reductions too. and happier customers.
So win-win-win, potentially. Can you give me some real-world examples of how this is playing out?
Sure, we talked about customer service, but think about what that means for getting new customers. In a world where everyone expects things instantly and wants things personalized, AI is a game changer.
Yeah, it could give banks a real edge.
And it's not just about keeping the customers you have. AI can help you find completely new customers too.
How so?
Think about creating products and services that are hyper-personalized for different demographics, for niche markets. Suddenly, you can reach people you never could before.
That's really interesting. And what about costs? Where are banks saving money with AI?
One area is back office stuff. Loan processing, fraud detection, all that can be automated, frees up people to do more strategic work.
So it's not just about replacing jobs, it's about making jobs better.
Right. Give people more challenging, more engaging work.
Mm.
And that can make them happier too. Now, this report says the banks that are really succeeding with AI, they're taking a holistic approach.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that look like?
It means AI isn't just a tool. It's part of everything. It helps you make strategic decisions. It helps you innovate. It changes how you make decisions.
It's like having an AI mindset, not just AI projects.
That's it. And leaders need to get this. They need to understand AI, invest in it, and be champions for it.
This is a huge shift, but it could really transform banking.
No doubt. And remember, we're still early in this whole AI thing.
Yeah.
What we're talking about today might be normal in a few years. And new challenges, new opportunities will come up. It's a constant evolution.
So banks need to be ready to adapt.
Exactly. The banks that embrace change, that experiment, that learn, those are the ones that will succeed in this new world of banking.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges, the benefits of AI. Let's zoom out a bit. How will AI really change banking in the long run? How will it change how we bank?
That's the big question, isn't it? And there's no easy answer. But I think it's safe to say AI will have a massive impact on banking, maybe even bigger than the internet.
Wow, that's a bold statement. In what ways?
Well, first, banking will be much more personal. We talked about personalized recommendations, but imagine your bank actually understands your goals and helps you reach them.
Like a personal financial advisor, but available 24/7.
Exactly. And it will be much more efficient. All that time banks spend on manual tasks, gone, automated by AI.
So banking could be faster, cheaper, and more convenient for everyone.
Precisely. And lastly, I think AI could make banking accessible to more people. People who don't have bank accounts now or
Yeah.
can't get loans. AI could help them.
So it could make the financial system fairer, more inclusive.
I think so. And that's really exciting. But we have to be realistic. There are potential downsides too.
We talked about job losses and bias, but what else should we be thinking about?
Making sure AI is used ethically, responsibly. We need to make sure these AI systems are fair, that we understand how they work, and that they're used to benefit everyone, not just a few.
It's about the values behind the technology.
Exactly. And that's going to be a big challenge for banks.
It's a lot to consider, but it's clear that AI has the power to completely reshape banking.
It does. And the banks that are willing to change, to experiment, to work together, they're the ones who will shape the future of finance.
This has been a fascinating conversation. I'm sure our listeners are eager to hear more about how this all plays out in the real world. What's next? We've covered so much in this deep dive. Like, it's amazing to me. We talked about what's pushing banks towards AI,
Yeah, those challenges.
how they're actually using it, all the changes they need to make.
The whole organizational transformation.
Exactly. But I feel like we're still just scratching the surface, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And this McKinsey report hints at something even bigger. This idea that AI doesn't just automate stuff.
Uh-huh.
It makes banks rethink, like, their fundamental assumptions.
Okay, now you've got me curious. Give me an example of that.
Let's take customer experience, right? It used to be all about physical branches, call centers, limited hours.
Right. Very transactional.
Exactly. But AI could completely change that.
You mean like with 247 availability, personalized advice? Stuff you couldn't do with just humans?
That's it. It forces banks to become truly customer-centric, not just in their marketing, but in everything they do.
Interesting.
And it's not just about how they interact with customers. Internally, AI changes how they think about talent, too.
Oh, right. Because if all the routine tasks are automated,
Then the skills that become really valuable, those are different.
yeah, like judgment, problem solving, being able to understand what the AI is telling you, even ethics.
You're getting it. It's a whole talent revolution alongside the tech revolution. And this report, it touches on something I find really fascinating. The shift from individual AI models to these multi-agent systems.
Okay, yeah, we talked about those before, but remind me, why are they such a big deal?
Well, think about it like this. Right now, most AI in banks is kind of siloed.
Okay.
You've got one model for fraud detection, another for loans, another for customer service. But in real life, all those things are connected.
Yeah, impact each other.
Exactly. So these multi-agent systems, it's like a team of AI agents working together.
So they can see the whole picture.
Yes, they see the whole picture of a customer's financial life.
Yeah.
And they can make decisions that take all those things into account.
That's incredible. So is that what finally makes banks truly intelligent, like everyone's been saying?
It could be. It's
Yeah.
not just automating tasks, it's automating how you coordinate and optimize all those tasks. That's where the real disruption comes in.
Makes sense. But this brings up a question for me.
What is it?
If banking becomes all about these AI agents, data, human oversight, how do you even measure success?
Oh, that's a great question. The old metrics, like cost per transaction or number of accounts, those might not matter anymore.
Wow. So we need new ways to figure out how well these AI-powered banks are actually doing.
Exactly. Maybe we'll need to look at things like customer lifetime value, or how quickly they can adapt to change, how well they manage risk. What it means to be a good bank might change completely.
That's something every bank leader, every customer needs to be thinking about. It's a whole new way of looking at things.
It is. And that brings me to my final thought for you. We've explored so much. What makes these AI-first banks different? How to choose the right areas to focus on, how to build the right capabilities.
Those multi-agent systems, yeah.
But remember, this report is just one point in time.
Right, things are moving so fast.
AI is evolving constantly. What we talked about today might be old news in a few years. New challenges and opportunities will pop up.
So it's like a never-ending journey, in a way.
It is. And that's why it's so important to be curious, keep learning, and ask the big questions.
Like, what does it all mean?
Exactly. Because the most important question might not be what can AI do, but what do we want it to do? The future of banking is being shaped right now. And by understanding these trends, you can be a part of that conversation.
That's a powerful thought. It's not just about watching this happen. We can actually help shape it. Thank you so much for guiding us through all of this. It's been amazing. It's clear the future of banking is going to be very different.
It will be.
And for our listeners, if this is what we can uncover in just one deep dive, imagine what you can learn by exploring even more perspectives. Until next time, keep diving.